In order for the Broncos to be taken seriously as a legitimate AFC playoff contender, and I mean a team that can go to the AFC Championship, do they have to beat the Chiefs in one of these two regular season matchups in order to think of them that way?
No, there's no doubt about it. And even if they do, and I would absolutely expect them to win one of those two games, even if they do, and they got to see him again, 90% of the human beings on planet Earth are going to pick the Chiefs to win that game. I don't care if Denver wins 40-0 in one of those games. But I think more importantly, for Denver to be taken seriously, because if we're looking at the AFC picture right now, it certainly feels the most wide open it has in years. I think that overall the offense has got to do two things better. One, they lead the NFL in offensive penalties. So to be taken seriously, and those two other guys know this significantly greater than me, in the playoffs, if you're going to beat yourself, good luck. So the offensive penalties got to go. And then obviously Bo Nix is going to have to play better and calm his feet down and get way more consistent with that. So, but I do think they have to win one of the two.
Dan, I heard you talking about another one of the issues. You're talking about being a little bit off in the shotgun, which I found interesting.
Oh, my Lord.
I found interesting because, these guys grow up in the shotgun, and it seems like that's where they would be most comfortable is taking a drop from the shotgun. Talk about what you meant when you were talking about just the shotgun issues that Bo Nix and the Broncos have had.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between comfort and the ability to execute. I agree with your point that they would feel most comfortable in that. So after watching those games and his feet with Bo Nix, I had research look at it for our ESPN, and 86% of the time that they throw the football, Denver's in the shotgun. That's an outrageous amount. And this has kind of been like a 2 or 3 year trend. And Stink, I'm sure you've seen it. And it's something that for the better part of the year, I've just been pressing on is like the good offenses, the offenses in the NFL right now that are playing at a high clip. And this is really the better part of the 24-25 season. It looks a little bit like it did at the early 2000s, 25 years ago, where there's bigger bodies on the field. There's multiple tight ends on the field. There's quarterbacks playing from underneath the center, and they're running at defenses. And I think that this isn't a war on shotgun, but Denver's so much in the shotgun that it kind of minimizes the things that you can get to. I think from an offensive perspective, there are things that you can get to only from the shotgun. And I would tell you this, my thought when it comes to directly impacting Bo, when you live in the shotgun world, unless you're maniacal about your feet, like a psychopath, almost like the way Payton was, it's really difficult to marry the timing of your feet to the route or the concept. Because as a quarterback from the underneath the center, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the ball is out, or you're getting to somewhere else, and it's an obsession with it. From the shot, because you're reading as you're dropping. From the shotgun, it's like catch, and I'm waiting to see what's happening, and your feet are following your brain rather than your brain following your feet. And I think that's impacting Bo's ability to play at a consistent level with his feet.
Dan, you know what? I think one of the other things, and I'm with you, I'm a big get under center guy more in everything. And I think one of the things that drives me crazy about the gun aspect of this is you don't have receivers right now, and especially in that Thursday night game, that were really winning right off the bat. They weren't. And so to create space and to create opportunities in the passing game, sometimes you got to turn your back to the defense, right? You've got to really go hard action, play action. You know, there's the run play action, and then there's the play pass play action. But you don't get the hard run action, play action out of gun. And I think it really would help Bo in the passing game. What do you think about being under center and how that affects the passing game in play action?
Let's go coach a team. We're talking the same stuff. We're talking the same stuff here. So my philosophy on explosive plays, like the ability to consistently be explosive in the NFL right now is and I think this is really the test of time. There's two ways. You either got a freak on the outside, and there's maybe 3 of them in the league right now. I'm talking about a Julio Jones, maybe a A.J. Brown. There's just not a ton of Jamar Chase, or you have to play action pass defenses. You have to displace the 3 different levels of a defense. I have to get the deep part of the defense going deep and the middle part of the defense closer to the football and create those gashes. That's the only way to really be explosive unless you have an unbelievable talent on the outside. And, this is something that I don't think Denver thrives at. It's odd because that's something that Sean was so good at in New Orleans. I think it's really hard to do it in the shotguns. I think we did this years ago on NFL Live, and the difference between a defensive perspective when the quarterback's in the shotgun going a play fake, run fake, and the quarterback going it from underneath the center, and the defensive people to a man all said it's not even remotely close when it comes to the difference that it has on the defense and the sell of it. And so it's been something that I feel like I've harped upon for years for teams to do it. And I think the teams, if you look at the teams that are thriving on offense right now, all of them are doing it outside of maybe Kansas City, and they're even doing a little bit more of it. So no question, it's something Denver has to start doing more.
How do you think Denver matches up against Kansas City? Obviously, they're coming off of a bye. They had a tough loss against Buffalo after winning, I think it was 3 in a row. They look like a little bit different team than they did early in the season. How do you think the Broncos match up with the Chiefs?
Yeah, defensively, well, obviously, the pass rush leads the NFL in sacks. I would tell you that the thing that has stood out to be the best part of Kansas City's offense is the plus plays out of Patrick, the holding the football, making people miss in the pocket, and then generating some big-time plays. That's come back this year. I don't think you can live that way if you're Kansas City in this game against this pass rush. So I think that's an advantage matchup for Denver. And even though the tackles are playing better than they did last year, it's still a weakness. I think defensively, Kansas City, you can run the football on them. You can run the football on them, and you can run the football on them. And so, this has got to be a game this is a JK game. This is a Harvey game. They got to run the football at this defense. They got to put bigger people on the field. They got to put a fullback on the field. That's what Buffalo did so well. It allowed Josh to play at a consistent state. So this is an enormous big body run game against Kansas City if you're Denver. So I think if Denver does that, they match up well.
Man, I tell you what, I'm going to have a cigarette. That is my kind of football.
Yeah,
I appreciate you, brother. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, boys. Be well.
There goes Dan Orlovsky.